What's up, everybody? Mr. Kelso here, and I want to share with you my review of For Honor. This game took me by complete surprise. I was not anticipating this game, I was not really excited about this game, and I was given a copy of it as a gift, and I have to say that it blew my socks off. Played it on the Xbox One. It was absolutely gorgeous. That's the first thing that really took me by surprise was how beautiful this game is. And I can't imagine how great it probably looks in 4K on PC and even better. It's a gorgeous game, the prettiest Ubisoft game I've ever played. After Far Cry 4 and Far Cry Primal, this is gorgeous, and it gets me really excited for what's coming from Ubisoft. Maybe this is a new engine, I'm not sure. And yeah, it's beautiful. Besides that, the first thing I want to talk about and give Ubisoft credit for is trying something completely different. We have never really played a game like this before. They came up with a new concept, a new form of multiplayer, new everything, and it plays very, very well. Yes, we've had some hardcore action RPGs, which you would put things like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and now Neo in, but this is different in that it's not an RPG and you're not really leveling up your character. You're just learning how to fight better, parrying and blocking, and learning when to do a light attack and a heavy attack to take down your enemy the safest and most quick way. You have a story mode and a multiplayer mode, and we're going to start with the story mode. I played it through from beginning to end. It is not a spectacular story with riveting characters. It is a B-movie action plot, but it's a lot of fun to play through. Again, it's very gorgeous. There's lots of neat environments, and it is a means to an end to teach you how to play the game, because the focus of this game is obviously very much so multiplayer, much like Rainbow Six and The Division and other titles that Ubisoft has put out recently. So with this story mode, you have the opportunity to play through 3 chapters. One as the Knights, one as the Vikings, and one as the Samurai. I do recommend playing them in order, 1, 2, and 3, so you understand everything that's going on. And it's just a fun little romp through the world. It kind of gives a little bit of... it fleshes out the lore just a little bit. You don't really ever learn why there was a crazy earthquake or anything like that, and why there's lava pools everywhere, but you do learn why everyone is fighting and what's causing that, and how this concept of war and fighting becomes a major player in the game. And from that end, it's very good. The voice acting is good. The story moments are fun. Like I said, it's more like an action movie than it is anything deep or meaningful. It's not going to evoke a lot of emotions other than kill that guy, you know? So that's what you're going to get when you play For Honor. And the multiplayer, or the story mode, excuse me, will teach you how to play the multiplayer. And when you get into multiplayer, you have a good idea of how to parry when the light flashes the right color. You have an idea of which directions you should be blocking. You have an idea of how to play several of the character types. Story mode doesn't get you through all of them, but it gets you through 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 or 7. And it gives you a great idea of how to play the game. They want you to spend a lot of their time in this game in multiplayer, and that's really honestly where it shines. I will say, as of today, there have been some significant connection issues for me. I would say about 30 to 40% of my games have had an error. Now, I started playing the game on Wednesday, and by Sunday it was improving, and I do know for a fact that they are working hard. So hopefully by the time you watch this review, they do have a lot of those issues ironed out. But there were some connection issues. People would drop games, how they handle what happens when someone backs out of a game. Because really, sometimes you're only playing, you're doing a 1 versus 1 duel. And that other person backs out, you're done. I mean, the game's over. But in the other cases where you have like a 4-on-4 situation going on, or the skirmishes and domination, you have multiple people involved, at least 8. And or at the most 8. There could be some bots that fill it in. That's how they're fixing the problem right now, is that when someone's backing out, they're putting in a bot. Now, interestingly enough, the bots in this game are very smart, and they do know how to kick your butt, and they probably will if you're not being careful, especially if they are a hard mode or a realistic mode bot, and I'm not sure what they're putting into multiplayer. I feel like it's a little tougher than the normal mode. Yes, they aren't always easy, and they will kill you, surprisingly enough. So it ends up being okay. You lack that human smartness, but the bots can res you and do all those things if the mode has revives and things going on. There are just a few basic multiplayer modes. I know they're going to be adding more as time continues. You have the 1 versus 1 duels, where it's you and another person, your skill versus their skill. You have to use everything that you've got to teach them a lesson, I guess would be the right phrasing there. You've got to use everything you've got. When the light flashes to the left, you better parry to that left or block to the left, or you're going to get hurt, and then they're going to light attack you, and then they're probably going to kick you off a bridge the next time. You got to be good. This is a game that requires skill to learn the mechanics. And I'm really excited to continue to play the game off and on. When you win, it's so satisfying because you know it was your skill versus this other guy's skill, and you just enraged a person on the other end of the screen and kicked their butts. And it feels good when you win, and you feel stupid when you don't. It's very satisfying. That's really, honestly, at the end of the day, what I would say for For Honor if I were to put my quote on the box. Very satisfying, because I had just a ton of fun playing with it. I enjoyed the multiplayer. I played a little bit of duels with friends, some multiplayer with friends, and it's just a lot of fun to play. There are a few technical hiccups that I had, especially in the multiplayer when we had a lot of enemies on screen, where at least on the Xbox One, I had a couple moments where things would just like kind of chug for a second. The opening scene with the knights and the giant battle, that also happened. However, later on in the game, it may be a night exclusive issue, and I'm not sure why that would be the case, but it kind of feels that way. But later on in the game, I didn't really seem to have that problem, but right at the beginning in the story mode and then with the multiplayer, I had that problem where things would just kind of almost freeze for like a millisecond and then keep going. So I'm not sure about that, but I want to be transparent about that and say some of my concerns about it. I'm also concerned about the longevity of the game. Obviously, the story mode wasn't very long, and it's designed as a means to an end for the multiplayer. Much like in Rainbow Six Siege, you had those missions to teach you how to play the game, and they want you to focus on the multiplayer. I would be interested to see how the depth of the multiplayer can be improved and what other modes that they plan on adding. It's not like a first-person shooter where you can just add all these plethora of modes. You have to play into what the combat's about and how that works. So hopefully they'll be adding more modes. I know the season pass says that they are working on adding more stuff, and I know that game modes will probably be free. Don't quote me on that, but new players and maps won't be. So yeah, there's my thoughts on For Honor. I think that they do a really good job of coming up with something new. It's not perfect, but it's a fun game. And if you see it and say, I think that game's for me, it probably really is. If you are into games like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, I recommend you giving it a try, because you might find that you really, really like it because of the technical fighting. I know for me personally, that's what ended up shining through. You're not fighting giant bosses or even monsters in this game. It's other humans. But it is satisfying combat. And although not a perfect game, I really want to give Ubisoft credit for trying something new. So that's my review. Appreciate you watching this, and catch me another time for another review of another game. Bye.